Welcome to the 1000 Club podcast, where we believe that behind every woman, there's a tribe chanting, yes! We call our tribe the 1000 Club, and every other Thursday, we invite you into our VIP section to chat, console, shoot the breeze, or inform. Find us everywhere, including Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. And remember to follow us on all socials at 1000 Club.
So today's episode is how it started versus where it's going or how's it going. And we're going to get real, raw, and relevant today with y'all. Like, we're going to go there. We're going to really go there with where we all started and individually and as a collective, as the 1000 Club. And just kind of where we are today with our friendships, with our lives. So we're going to get into it. And hopefully what we say today will inspire anything that's going on with your friendships and just your lives in general. So let me just say, if you are new to the podcast and you don't know our story, you can go back to our season 1. You can go back to episode 1 and episode 2, where we touch a little bit on our story in both episodes. And we're going to go into that today. But my version of how we all started.
I love it.
My version of how we started is that I knew Rashana from a church ushers organization from when we were younger. And then she moved to DC. I'm from the DMV. And we went out. Well, I think we had went out a couple of times, but we had went out one night and Courtney came and I met Courtney. Rashana and Courtney were graduate students at American University in DC. And we just had a good night, and the rest is history. So I'll let them tell their own stories as we get into it. But I want to start. I asked the ladies to come with a drink. It could be alcoholic or non, that is reminiscent of the year that we first all hung out, which was 2012. And they're going to tell us the name of their drink because I asked them to give it a name and explain the drink, like why you chose the ingredients, why you chose the name. So I'll start with Rashana.
Okay, so I chose ginger, and I know it's not like a catchy name, but this is ginger ale, just on ice.
Oh, I was like, you're drinking just ginger? I was like,
But I actually do drink ginger water, so it would not be weird for me to just have ginger water. And the reason I did this is because, number one, I'm trying to slow down on the drinking. And so I wanted to make like what do you call it? Like a frozen multicolored margarita. Because that reminded me of Aleros, which is where we met. As Christy said, that's when we first hung out. We went to Aleros, and they are known for their, I don't know what they're called, but like a twisted margarita. And you can put 2 flavors together, 3 flavors, or whatever. And so that's an issue I was going to make. But then I decided to go with ginger because it made me think of Spice Girls ginger. And Ginger Spice is my favorite Spice Girl because
I didn't know that.
Yes, because she has always been like equally sassy. She has been she's kind of classy, more like Clatchet, before we knew what Clatchet was. And that's what reminded me of 2012, where it was like a shakeup for me. I just moved to the DMV in 2012, and I was like sassy and I was sophisticated. And as Christy said, going to grad school and having friends with all different or making new friends, I should say, with all different personalities, like a Spice Girls. And then lastly, of course, the ginger ale, because it's the Black people's medicine. It's right up there with like Vaseline and cocoa butter. Like, it just heals everything. And I feel like, or I know that is what the 1000 Club was for me in 2012. It was definitely the medicine for everything, all the, the spice of my life. that I was going through all the things great, all the things
Mm.
that weren't so great. Yeah, so
So
that's
that's the name of your drink?
ginger.
Ginger. Okay. Okay.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's,
Courtney.
so I don't know if I have a name for this. Didn't think all the way that through, but I have an explanation.
Follow directions.
I am that one person, and there's always one in the group. So I have coffee with Hennessy in it. I
Oh.
have a little thing. I had a little thing of Hennessy, and I put it in my coffee. And 2012 was like the year I think I drank the most Hennessy in my life. And it was after I moved to DC. So every time I drink that, I think about like us going out and just turning up and having a great time. And we're always doing like Hennessy shots and always like that was the drink. I don't think I ever
Mm.
Hennessy. 2012. It's not a bad thing, guys. It's not bad. But I chose coffee because
Trying to say we put you on the Hennessy.
well, y'all didn't put me on to Hennessy.
I just did.
Courtney is like, let's be clear.
Reasoning said that she was not
I have never drank like I had it every now and then.
before 2012.
What were you drinking before?
Tequila,
Okay.
like clear liquor. Like I wasn't really drinking Hennessy.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't drinking dark liquor, period, like that. So I would say you put me on to dark liquor. I will give you that. I will give the 1,000 that. Yes, yes. I didn't drink it that much in college, in undergrad.
Which I drink. Okay, go finish because I have a question about what y'all did at Virginia State. But
No, okay. So before we go on, I personally just never drank it. It wasn't that people didn't drink it. I was just always drinking tequila or vodka, which is why I don't drink vodka now. But I was more of a tequila person. When I moved to DC and met Christy and Rashana, I was drinking a lot of Hennessy. And that's what we happened to be drinking when we were going out. But I have coffee because I remember 2012, we were in grad school and I was telling Shana, I feel like we always found time to go out and have a good time. Like we always figured out how to fit that in our schedule. And I was drinking like coffee nonstop the next day because I was trying to recover. I was trying to stay awake. I was trying to go to work. So I just remember like that always being like my power through, like my push through was coffee. Like we go out until 2 a.m. The next morning, 8 o'clock, I'm drinking coffee. So that's why I picked this. And also because it's warm and it feels good. And that's what our friendship was in 2012. It was just warm and it felt good. And it was, and not say that's not that now. I don't want to, we're not there now. But when we first met, it was just something that was really good for my soul. And it makes me feel warm and good. And so do y'all.
Oh, y'all all deep. I don't know if my drink is that.
Huh?
Does your shirt say Boston?
It does.
You can't see it fully on camera.
My shirt says Boston and my cup
hide the greatness.
Coffee, survival in a cup. Huh?
I said, do not hide the greatness.
Christy, go ahead.
So, my drink, I have two names that I thought of. Y'all tell me which one y'all like best. So the first one was Shenanigans and Tea. I always said if I wrote a book, it would probably be BS Shenanigans and Tea. So that's the first one. The second one is 1000 Tea. And what's in here is whiskey and Earl Grey tea with a little lemon slice. And so,
had a fancy ass drink.
So Shenanigans and Tea because one of my friends back then would always be like, what shenanigans have you gotten into lately? And so Shenanigans usually has like a negative connotation. I was getting into some good, mischief back in the day. I don't know so much about 2012 because I was in a relationship then, but when that relationship ended, I surely was getting into some good mischief. Um, so it reminds me of 2012 because I was like going out, having fun. As we said, we all kind of connected over a night of fun. I think it was a random night and we kept having those nights. And I think at that time, of my life, I was having a good time, but then I was also, like I said, in a relationship. So, but the relationship was ending. So I was starting to go out more and I was starting to, um, to have more fun. Not that I wasn't having fun in a relationship, but I was starting to hang out more with friends. And then the tea, because I love tea. I don't know that I had such a love for it back then. Maybe I had just started my love affair with tea in 2012. But the tea kind of represents a little bit more of the me now because I don't go out as much and I'm not like that random party goer as much anymore. And so the tea is just kind of reflective of my life now. It's a little more slow and not as like random and fast paced as it was back then. And then the whiskey, I don't know if I was drinking whiskey like that back then. I think I was. I know I was not drinking no white liquor. But the whiskey because your girl loves whiskey. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Christy, ever since
that.
I've known you, you drink tea. Like I've never known you
Okay.
to not
Okay.
drink tea.
Yeah, I couldn't
I was
remember
gonna
like
say, I
2012.
feel like you did drink tea, but I feel like I remember you expressing your love for it probably maybe like right before you went to Tanzania or something.
Mm,
That's
that
when
sounds right.
that's when I remember like I mean, you did drink tea, but that's when I remember you being like, "Oh, I really love tea, and I want to try different types of teas, and
Mhm.
really like
Mm.
exploring your love for it." That's what I remember. I remember hearing it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about like where we were. Y'all talked more about where y'all were in 2012. So I want you all to individually set the scene of where you were in your life at that time. Um, what were you doing? I know you all were in graduate school, but like what were your goals? What were your aspirations? What was your love life like? What were your friendships like? Like set the scene. Tell us what 2012 was like for you. And I'll start with Courtney this time.
Oh.
Look, y'all had the questions in advance. So
I
y'all
know, but like, if y'all, for those,
Call us out.
okay, so set the scene. 2012. Like we had stated, I had just moved to DC. I started grad school. I had just ended a relationship like a month before I had moved to DC. So I was newly single. Um, I was just happy to be the F out of Virginia. I was just really happy to be out of Virginia. And I was nervous, but I was also excited about like what DC could bring. Because, and I don't know if I touched on this before, but when I first moved to DC, I worked on Capitol Hill for a little bit. So like I was very, like all of my goals were tied to politics and all of that. So that's what I was trying to do my first year of grad school. I was nervous because I didn't have any friends. So I was like moving there by myself, like friends in the area. I didn't have any friends in the area. I was moving there by myself. And I actually would go back to Virginia and see my college friends a lot that first year. Like I was going there at least once a month. Because I just I hadn't felt like I needed to have that because I didn't know how to make friends until until I met you guys, and then I kind of like was able to make friends. What?
I said, "Oh, I thought that was
Oh,
like, oh."
yeah, no, that's true. So, I was also broke as shit. Like, I was poor, guys.
tell us where you were living. Because for people that know the DMV, Courtney was living good, okay?
I was living in Bethesda. I had the audacity, and let me tell you why I was also nervous. So, like when I knew I was gonna go to grad school. Wait, let me back up just a little bit. I know this is a lot, so
And you need to talk about how you were broke in Bethesda.
So, I had came up to visit American with the guy I was dating at the time, and we had came up, and the plan was like we were gonna move to DC, and then we had a falling out, and I was just like, what the hell am I gonna do? So I had to go on, like the Blackboard sites where you could find roommates, you could find this, you could find that. I went on there and I was trying to find a roommate and someone to live with. And at first I didn't want a roommate because Chanel, my roommate in college, was so great. I was like, I don't ever want to try to recreate that. Like, I just want to live by myself. I also wanted to live by myself for a little bit because that was just a lot. But I was supposed to move in with Sai. But she wasn't going to be in DC early enough for us to move in together. So I found Kenzie. And Kenzie wanted to live in Bethesda.
Because Kenzie is also Kenzie with Black Card, okay?
Yes.
So
Kenzie had a Black Card.
Put that. Okay.
And I was just like, now, number one, if you know me, like, I love stuff that I can't afford. So the apartment was amazing. And I was just like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. My half of the rent was $1,750. That did not include parking. That did not include like cable, none of that. And I was just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And I just remember like my first month paying rent, I had this closet and I would sit in the closet and cry because I was so broke. I don't know who the hell I thought I was living in Bethesda. But it was a nice experience. I'm glad that my friends got to experience my apartment in Bethesda because it was really nice.
It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had ever really been to Bethesda before coming to visit you.
I was like, never heard of it.
It was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. So yeah, in 2012, I was also on this journey of like finding myself. Like I was just, like I said, I was going through a lot just personally, but then professionally I had aspirations. Grad school was a lot, and then you working and going to school and try to figuring stuff out. And because I lived in Bethesda, I had to work like 3 jobs just to pay my rent. So it was a lot. But I still found time to go out with my friends, which I was really always happy that I did that, because I feel like I have a lot of memories, and sometimes I feel like my memories cross. Like I'll be like, Rashana, we did this, and she's like, no, that wasn't then. That was this time. But yeah, 2012 was like a year of redefining and like finding myself. I had just cut my hair. I had chopped all my hair off. I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be, and I ended up in DC. That was a lot. That was like a roundabout way of answering your question. I don't know if I answered your question, but anyway.
You did. You did.
Yeah. Yes.
Rashana.
Okay. So 2012, I moved here on July 31st, 2012. And I had just come off a year of working. So I graduated in 2011, spring 2011, from the illustrious Tuskegee University. And I went home for a year because my aunt told me that I needed to work so that I could actually have a decent paying job, and that, in that market, I'm glad she gave me that advice, because people I know that just went straight had harder times finding good employment, because it's like, as jobs say, you got to have experience before you have experience, or whatever, And so I had went and I had worked for a year in Boston, went back home. I always knew that I wanted to live in the DMV. Initially, I wanted to live in Virginia because every other summer, my family and I would go down to Virginia Beach to visit my family there. And I loved Virginia Beach. And then when I went to school in Alabama, I loved Alabama. I loved the South. But there was I needed in between, right? Because I'm a city girl. And when I was looking for jobs, things that interest me, because I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I think people back home know that I'm in DC, and many of them think that I'm a lawyer or I'm in politics, because that is what they saw in me, and I see where they can see that. And I feel like I'm still politics and justice adjacent, but definitely not a lawyer, definitely not a politician. And so Prior to coming down here, I came down for a American recruiting event because initially I was trying to go to University of Maryland. Similar to Courtney's story, I was dating someone who graduated a year before me, and yeah, I encouraged him to come to DC because I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. And the idea was I wanted to go to a school that was basically near his house. And so I literally put his address in the GPS and just looked at stuff that was near where he lived, which was in Gaithersburg. And so that did not last, but I still have my dream of coming to DC. So 2012 was really about proving myself and proving to myself that I could do it on my own. It was also about proving to him because he did not believe that I could go to American University, like get into American University. Why? I have no clue because not like my grades were shitty in college at all. But I was going to prove to him that I could do it, and that I could be at one of the top schools in the country and be successful and be great. I wanted to prove to my family, primarily my parents, that I didn't need them. That I could do it myself. So yes, I would say that was the mindset that I was in 2012, was just really proving that I could do it, proving that I was good, proving that I was independent, and just proving, yeah, showing all the haters wrong. um showing all the haters wrong, even people who, and y'all might know this story, but when you go to an HBCU, people think that your education is less than, and so an American university is not going to be looking at you, right? You know what I mean? So it was also proving that, and proving to American university that I am a student, I am a graduate of an HBCU, and I got a damn good education, and I deserve to be here at American with all these white folks. And no, I'm not. I'm not a student where mommy and daddy are paying my rent. I had to come here and pay my own rent. I didn't have a job when I came here. I lived with one of my sorority sisters. Her parents. She had just told her parents that I wanted to move here, and her mom just randomly called me one day and offered me 6 months to live at her house. So I didn't have that. I didn't have the luxury, of being able to take the internships and things like that, because I had to work full time. I had to go to school, and I had to intern full time, or the amount 20 hours a week, whatever was required. And so that was, I would say, the mindset that I was in, is that I was definitely proving myself. Yeah.
Wow. We're gonna go over where we are now, but it's just interesting to hear like your mindset back then and where you are now and how much you've accomplished. It's
Hmm.
just you definitely was like you showed them.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay, 2012 for me. So I just thought about it while you all were talking that I had gotten my master's in 2011. So I also think that's another reason why I was out partying so much, because I wasn't because I wasn't really doing it for about 2 years. So yeah, so I had gotten my master's in December 2011. I had mentioned I was in a relationship. I think we were in our third year of the relationship. And so I think that's another reason, like if it wasn't school, I was spending time with my boyfriend at the time. So, and even though we were still together, we were distancing. Our lives were going in two different directions. So I started, just hanging out and living life. I was living with my parents at the time, but I was in the process of buying a house, or I was looking for a house. Earlier in 2012, I had put in an offer that fell through. And so I had started the process again. And I don't remember what month it was that we all hung out. Maybe it was the summer or
August.
fall,
It was like August.
I feel like
August.
it was
So,
September. I feel
If it
like.
was September,
because you all were in school already, right?
Hmm.
yeah, but we started in August. If it was September, it had to be like the first week in September.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it was around that time, little did I know I was going to soon have an offer in and be under contract for my first home. So that was an exciting time because it was like, I'm going to be moving into my first home. My goal had been to, when I was 21, to buy a house by 26, and I was 26 at the time. So I missed the mark on that goal, but shortly after, I wanted to accomplish that. So I had just started working for the government. I was a government contractor prior to getting hired in June of that year as an actual government employee. So things were kind of looking up because, everything after like graduating and getting my master's, it was like, professionally, I'm elevating. Like I said, in the process of buying my first home. But relationship wise, it was like, I think I was with someone who I could see going the distance with, but the more things changed in my life, I wanted different things. And so, um, yeah, I think I was kind of grappling with that as far as, okay, this relationship is not turning out how I thought it would be. I thought that I would be married in my 20s. I thought probably I was going to have kids in my 20s, and I'm 26, soon to be 27. And it looks like I'm taking a step back in the terms of relationship and not taking a step forward. So that's where I was. I mean, I was having a good time. I was living life. I had met you all, and you were like two more people I could go out and have fun with, and then the friendship grew from there. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the same for me. I can't think of anything else in 2012.
I was gonna say, so one thing that I think Rashawn and I realized on one of the episodes, and now I'm also realizing with Christy, was we were all coming out of a relationship in some way
Mm,
that may have like connected us, like as we were
mm,
refinding ourselves. Like Rashawn, you're talking about, proving this person wrong. I'm talking about I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to figure it out. And Christy's like, my life is moving from in a different direction, and my relationship is not sustaining. Like I didn't even
mm.
realize that we all were in that space
I never realized that either.
in 2012, which could also be why, we kind of like just gravitated and ran with it because we were all, enjoying trying to figure it out again.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never realized that either.
Hmm.
Yeah. I also think specifically with Christy was like some grounding for me because I didn't necessarily trust people that I was associated with here in the very beginning. And people that watch this don't feel no way about it. I love most of y'all now. But I didn't trust those people because of, I didn't really speak much about what happened during that breakup. And, people received misinformation and concocted their own stories about it. And so, particularly when
Mhm.
it came to my Tuskegee alumni group and also my blue and white, the Zetas and the Sigmas. I didn't know what they knew and what they had been told. And so I was really distrustful. Um, just making those friends because I kind of wanted to just start new, and I never wanted to, I'm not a drama person. Anyone knows me, I'm not drama. I'm confrontational when necessary, but I don't like drama. And so, yeah, I never felt the need to like speak out on the messed up stuff that happened, but I also knew that many of these people just had their own stories, and I didn't want people asking me
Mm.
a bunch of stuff, especially because moving here, we did end up in the same city, and so Christy was like a piece of home. Like, she was somebody that I knew that was unassociated with that, and so having her was just like, okay, I know she don't know this, so I can just be Rashana,
Mm.
and like Chrissy said, we kind of orbited, I would say, around each other in the Church Ushers Association, but had never really hung out. And so that was also, I think, what gravitated me to Christy, because it was like, okay, like Christy said, I don't even know if we even had a conversation before I
Mm.
randomly hit her up on Facebook, and to think that you've known somebody since you were 12, that you probably never said more than 2 words or liked the status or something to, for me, it was just like, well, is there anybody that I have here? Because the people that I did know here, I didn't trust coming here.
Mm.
Um so that was also, and then Christy was a good tour guide for the city. Like, she really knew what was popping, where we could go. And so I didn't have to, like, you know, figure that out on my own. I could call Christy and she'd be like, "Yeah, we doing this," or the Aggies, they doing this kickback.
I was doing a lot. Oh my gosh, going out during the work week and getting up
Yes,
early in the morning.
yes,
Yeah, I was out in them streets.
yes,
Outside.
Heavy.
yes.
I
We
was
ride this
outside
rock, like,
heavy.
yeah, like, so that was, yeah, that was a godsend during that time. Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
So I want to get into where we were in 2012 and then progressing to now. And then I think we'll also transition into where we are individually as we talk about where we were then. So Rashana, you can put up the picture. This was from that infamous night, that random night where we first all hung out together. Oh, look at
Okay,
us,
wait.
so
So
young.
since we're talking about this, I don't remember exactly what happened that night. I think I confused it with another night that we went out, but I remember the outfit, but I just don't remember everything that happened. I remember Aleros and that's it.
I can remember pretty vividly. I remember Aleros. I remember going to that other spot that plays Caribbean music, right? I don't
Yep,
remember the
I
name of
remember
it. It's
bouncing
changed
around.
names.
It's down. I forget how. No, it's downstairs. Yeah.
It's changed names since then. Off of U Street. I
Right.
remember us ending up at some guy's house.
Some
Okay, so then
cues,
that is the
some
night.
cues. Yeah, two cues that
Oh,
we met outside of Valero's, and
yes.
they were just like, "Oh, y'all want to still hang out?" And Courtney had the car. I don't know if I drove or Christy drove
I don't
that night,
remember.
but Courtney was like, "I'll drive," and it was just like, "You will?" And
Mind you, this was my first time meeting Courtney.
oh, well, not my first time meeting her, my first time hanging out with her. And I was like, okay. And they lived actually by your church. For
They were right across the street from my church.
Yeah,
And it
they
was
were
a
right across
Saturday
the
night.
church.
And
Yeah,
I remember I was just like, I should just stay here. So I should not at the
right.
guy's house, but
Yeah.
I
And
was
I
like, I should just stay here so I could just go to church. Because I think we were there until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and I remember they had like a really nice apartment, because on the
Yeah.
It
outside
was
it was
really
like some
nice.
projects. Like, if you're from Boston, I was like, oh, they live in some projects, And then, but when you went in there, I learned now that DC was gentrifying at that time.
Mhm.
And so they probably were projects at some point, but they had recently renovated them, and it was kind of like a little step and like open area. Like, it was really dope. And we went there, we played games. And prior to that, Christy and I were hanging out already.
Mhm.
Because we had, I don't know if we went out to eat or what happened, but it was
I
like,
know we had went to that club where we took a picture with them white girls.
yeah, no, no, no. That was our first time hanging out. But this night specifically, we had
Uh,
went out. I think we were out a little bit earlier than Courtney, because I believe Courtney was coming
oh
from
yeah.
hanging out with Kenzie. and friends.
Yeah.
And I just remember the anxiety that I had of like meeting someone, like hanging out with someone new. As I said, like I was really coming into DC in a very like I ain't trusting nobody kind of space, you know? And Christy just the day Christy was just like, it's okay, it's gonna be fine. She's gonna be fine. You know, like really just trying to calm my anxiety down.
It
Hmm.
was something I was gonna ask. Oh, I wonder why we even were like, let's take this picture. I think maybe the guys took the
The guy
picture
The
for
guys
us.
took the picture. The
Did
guys
we
took.
ask him to take the picture?
I don't know if we asked him. I feel like at some point someone gave him our phone
Mm,
and maybe we were like exchanging numbers and probably just like, oh, take a picture of us.
mm.
But the guys definitely took a picture because there's a couple pictures from this night.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this might have been my phone, so I feel like yeah, I have a couple pictures from this night.
All right, so where were we as a group? I mean, of course, not this night because we were just forming, but back then, 2012, 2013, or whatever, until well, not getting into now, but like, where were we in our formation of the 1000 Club? How are you all's friendship? Because you all are closer, you're best friends. Like, how did that progress? Let's get into it. Let's get real, raw, relevant.
I think exactly what you just said. That night we were definitely just in formation.
Yeah.
And I think that we were the trio for a long time. Um, yeah, Courtney and I weren't best friends at this point. But there is something that I've always said when I met Courtney, it was like I've known her in another life. Like that it was just like instant. And so I think Courtney and I I think we were able to build our friendship outside of the trio because we were in grad school together. And not only were we in grad school together, but we had the same major.
Mhm.
And so, and there, it was just us two, meaning Black people in our program. And so we instantly, I think, gravitated to each other coming off of like, that's how also, because how I gravitated towards Psy and how you ended up realizing, oh, that's Psy,
Mhm.
was because there was some sort of event. And, you know, Psy was one of the only other ones in the room. And she said she went to, where'd she go? Clark, Atlanta?
She went to some school in Atlanta. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it
We
was.
had all said that was the thing. We all went to.
I don't think it was Spelman. I think she went to Clark Atlanta. But like, um, we were all like, okay, we're HBCU girls. We knew exactly what we were going up against, what people would think, and so I think that grounding helped Courtney and I's relationship. And then Courtney is from Rhode Island. I'm from Boston. And so we immediately had that connection. And so we were together a lot because we were in class every week at the same time. We had the same assignments. So it would be like, even on the weekends, like, come on, let's just knock this homework out. When we had to do group projects, we always decided to work in the same group. And I think our schedules were similar because
Mhm.
Courtney was also a working student. And so she was a good person. Like it wasn't weird for us to be up on a weekday at 1 or 2 a.m. studying for something because that's the time that was available for us. So
Mhm.
I would say that is probably yeah, I would say then that was probably what I remember. But yes, we definitely connected because my birthday, somehow I was in Bethesda. And I yeah, my birthday, I was in Bethesda and I was like getting dressed at her house. And part of that though, let me say this. Part of me being at Courtney's house was because where I was staying, they did not like when I came in late. And
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember, but I had already had an instance where, you know, because I came in late, I was like sleeping in the car, waiting until the morning to get in. And so,
I don't think I ever knew that.
I
yeah,
think I vaguely remember, yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going out, I need to crash somewhere. And so the first night when I went out, Christy, that was actually the night. Christy, Christy dropped
Mm,
me off. Christy dropped me off, and I couldn't get in. And then the second day, I didn't want to do that, and so I had asked Courtney if I could stay at her house. Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
I
she
did.
never
And
left.
I never left because she had such a nice place. I hated the tickets. I
Hmm?
hated the tickets. I hated the tickets over there. I
Yeah.
had to
mm,
learn the lay of the land in DC, as y'all know, even though Bethesda's Maryland. But if you know anything about that area, you got to learn how to park because I got so many tickets. um, yeah, so I would say that is probably what connected us. And then as we got more into the school year, we would still hang out with Christy, but it wasn't as much during the week. Like Christy said, she was going out during the week.
mm.
Number one, I ain't have no money to do that. Courtney and I were going out once a week on Fridays doing the 2-for-1, which
2 for 20, 2 for 20 something. Oh,
which
that's
appetizer we gonna get this week. Last time we got fried green beans. This week, like so, we were not in the same financial place as Christy in our lives like that. Uh, and during the week, we had night classes.
yeah.
Too. So I think that's probably where Courtney and I became closer because just the way our schedules and the way our pockets were working. Um, we could not keep up with Miss Christie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
We laughed about that.
She was also traveling. She was doing like weekend trips, and it was like,
Christy
Oh,
was always
yeah.
on the move. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah. Christy was always on the move. Yes.
Yeah. Well, especially when I was still in a relationship, because we would do a lot of like weekend trips. And then, yeah, when I came out of it, I was still out in them streets, still partying. I was still
yes,
outside.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you also had a good group of y'all that were all kind of in the same place.
Mhm.
Like just like getting into like your good careers and stuff like that. And definitely being on the DC scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also say I think one thing that gravitated us, and I think I told Rashana that she was like a big part of this, but Christy too. I feel like you guys were the first friends I ever made outside of college where I didn't feel like I had to be something. Like I had to, or I didn't feel judged. Like I remember my birthday and Rashana inside being there. And it was a rough it was a rough birthday.
Was I there?
No,
Oh.
you weren't. I forget where you were.
Yeah, I don't think you weren't there because I remember it was a long weekend. It was a long weekend.
But you know who was there? Demetrius. Side note.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Where was it at?
They had gotten a hotel, like when you're coming off the 3rd Street tunnel, and
Uh-huh.
there is a what is that? A Chipotle or something, right? But like Busboys and Poets is right there in the
Mhm.
corner, and on the next street there's like a Hampton Inn or
Mhm.
something like
Mhm.
that. They were at that hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I remember telling my mom this. I was like, I don't ever feel pressure to like have to be something or do something when I go out with them. Like I can just go out and like we have a good time, we all enjoy each other, and it never felt hard. Like it never felt like it was work. It was just kind of like this is fun. Like this fits. Like it feels good. So that's also where I feel like like Rashana said, we did spend a lot of time together. We did. Like she'd be at my house and Kent would be like, "You're still here?"
Yeah, girl.
And then when I moved to College Park, then I think you had just moved to Suitland Towers or something. Maybe like the year, maybe
So
like
Oakcrest.
a little
I
bit.
moved,
Crest
yeah,
Towers.
I was like, dang, y'all had to say my whole where I live, but
I'm sorry.
I moved January 24th or 23rd into my place.
Yeah.
2013. And because I remember that because I moved, I believe, on a Saturday, and Christy moved into your house the very next day on the Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, that's College Park. I feel like I did not come to. Oh yeah, no, I was at College Park because College Park is the one that had that kind of ginger smell.
What?
Like the hallway or something like that.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Like a ginger, something like a spice.
It was something.
Yeah, yeah, like a
Something.
smell.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I don't think I came. I don't think I really came to College Park a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember I came for your birthday. I came a couple times, but not really. Not really. That's also when you got into another relationship too, though. So
Yes, that is true. That also was around that time.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was there.
Mm-hmm.
But also, what I would say that I loved about Christy and our friendship in terms of the 1000 Club is that I feel like I still had we were the 1000 Club, but I still had my friendship with Courtney, and then I had my friendship with Christy, and I actually appreciated that because I am a person that mixes friends a lot, but then once they mix, I'm kind of like, damn, now we got to mix all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like certain things that I will talk to Christy about that I won't talk to Courtney about, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it was just like, dang, okay. But even though we still hung out together,
Mm-hmm.
it was still I still had my friendship with Christy. And with Christy, I could do Christy and I would go out to eat. We'd always find some new restaurants. We'd go shopping, kickbacks, exploring random nights, I had I even feel like I said, I feel like Courtney and I's relationship was much more based on grad grad school, and that schedule in the very beginning. And Christy and I's relationship was really exploring, and having a good time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, so I'm a person, and this is something that I'm realizing even now since I've moved, is like I can pretty much connect with anybody. I can pretty much get along with anybody, especially if we have a love of similar things. And so I think for you all, it was we definitely connected on going out and just exploring the DMV. And I think we were all single at one point. So in connecting on dating and just kind of our shared goals of marriage and or getting into a relationship first and then marriage. And so I think we all really connected on that.
And Jesus.
And yes, and Jesus, yes, because I
Because you know
remember
what's
we
so
went
funny? Just really quickly, when we went to that midnight thing at church,
for New Year's Eve.
that was the
That was
first
our
time
first.
I'd ever done that.
Mm.
I'd never done that before, ever.
Oh, you never been to a watch night?
Never. I'd never been to a watch night ever in my life. That was my first time going. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So we connected on a lot, just faith, partying, exploring, randomness, a love for randomness. We connected on a lot. And I think you two were my newest friends at the time. A lot of my friends I had from middle school, high school, and college, and then work. And so you two were the friends that were outside of all of those phases in my life, but also match the current phase that I was in, where, like I said, I was very much into exploring and going out and having a good time, just enjoying life. I would say, it really started the 1000 phase of my life, right? Once we got together, because I had friends who I wasn't necessarily able to do that with because they were married themselves or they had children. And so I was in a different phase for some of my friends. But for you all, I was able to do more and explore more. And so That's one of the things I realized, and I'm going into maybe like the now, right? That's one of the things that I'm realizing with my friends who, like, our foundation of friendship is based on like seeing each other and going out to eat, like exploring, that it's difficult now because we can't do that, right? And then we haven't gone through a phase like that where we're all apart. Whereas like my middle school, high school friends, we've been through so many stages in life, right? And so that's one of the things I think with our group that like I struggle with, because I'm not used to, still connecting with you all. Now with other friends I am, but with you all, I guess it's like kind of like the start of a new friendship, right? Because I've known you all to be like, we're all in the same place, we're all able to connect, and it's not so much it's not as easy to do that now, right? And so I think for me, when it comes to like the now with us, it's like starting a new friendship. It's like getting to know, getting to know you all and like in your current spaces. It's almost like getting to know somebody new, right? Because I think there was a lot that maybe that went unnoticed because we were in the midst of partying and hanging out. And this is for me because I didn't have the relationship that you all had with each other. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm getting to know you all in a new light. Which is not a bad thing. It's
I
just,
wanna know what you mean though, because 'cause I'm like, because
well,
I
because
yeah, what you mean?
I
Getting to
think
know us in a new light.
Well, because I think it's like I feel like the basis of our friendship was having a good time, right? And I think we did. Well, Rashawn and I had like deeper conversations, but it was based on where we were in our lives at the time. And so now that our lives have changed, um, conversations are going to look different, right? And I think I touched on this in one of
Mhm,
our episodes, or
mhm,
maybe it was in one of our conversations. It wasn't on the podcast. But one of the
mhm,
things that I'm learning now, being married, I'm learning how to navigate friendships being married because and I'm going through this with all of my friends. It's not just you all,
mhm,
where I have to discern like who to tell and who not to tell certain things. I have to discern how I'm going to spend my time with my friends. Like, I'm not going to be able to go to everything like I used to be able to. And so that's currently the space that I'm at, not only with you all, like I said, with my friends, but then I also realized that my friends from middle school, I only had one from middle school, but from middle school and then high school, um, I gravitate towards them more because we've gone through so many stages, right? We've gone from, going off to college, or, we've experienced distance. We've experienced life changes, like having children, getting married, going through different careers. Just we've gone through so much. So I have a solid foundation. Like I know what to expect from them, right? But then everyone after that phase, like from the high school, even with college, like I'm experiencing that because most of the people that I went to college with, we all went back to the DMV, right? And so we were still able to hang out with each other. We haven't experienced distance. And so it's difficult because it's like I said, I'm getting to know some people in a new light. Not to say like, you know, like there's something about you that I didn't know before, but I think it's just going to a deeper level um than kind of just like hanging out and having fun. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying?
Yeah, I think it's redefining, and I think it's
Mhm.
interesting to hear your perspective on, like, where we are now, particularly, like, how you're describing it, I guess, because as a person who has experienced that distance with friends, like, I went to college in a different area, and those college friends, none of them moved here, like,
Mhm.
you all have moved, all of my friends have moved, I don't like, my closest friends live in Boston, which is why I do travel a lot because my closest friends don't live here. I think it's more like a redefining because
Mhm.
I feel like you can still do those things that are the basis of your friendship. If the basis of your friendship are is hanging out and having a good time, yeah, you might not be able to do that every weekend, but if that's a solid friendship that you value, you redefine it, because now it's
Mhm.
no longer every weekend or, whatever the frequency was. Now it might be once a year, like when
Mhm.
you are able to set time out to say, girl, let's go do a girls weekend where we do have that. I think I think it is, like you said, getting your friendship is changing,
Mhm.
and so you are learning your friendship in this new space of what that
Mhm.
is. I also think, like you said, when we're having conversations and we're talking, I think, and this is something that I don't know if people would agree with, because I've never been married, but I feel like that's an adjustment that I've seen for many people. And
Mhm.
your marriage becomes such a central focus of your life. And it does change sometimes who you are. And I think that if your friends aren't married, or if you don't feel comfortable, um, kind of like go like bringing them in or whatever, then you do lose that connection, because
Mhm.
there's a huge part of yourself that you're not sharing,
Mhm.
and so I think that also changes the friendship, and it
Mhm.
almost reduces it to just, we just hang out and we have a good time, because
Mhm.
it's really hard to like connect. And so I think that's how I like to look at it, as
I like that
um
word. Yeah.
redefining the friendship, because you know, yeah, you're trying to figure out, like, where do we still connect? Do I still enjoy
Mhm.
that connection? You
Mhm.
know, and if it is something that contributes to my happiness, then how do I fit it in?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
for me, communication is just that much more important, because we
Mhm.
talked about this on self love, when we had Shelly's sunshine, just communicating,
Mhm.
like, okay, this is kind of my schedule or whatever. You don't have to be
Mhm.
serious, but like, I got 70% here for
Mhm.
marriage. I got 20% here for me, and I got 10% for other
Mhm.
things. And some of those things overlap, because like you said, your friends that are married or have been married, have children, when you were first met us, you were close with them, but not in the same proximity, even as
Right.
you were with
Yeah.
us, because they were in that phase. But now
Mhm.
that you're in that phase, you are able to gravitate. You are like,
Mhm.
it kind of brings you back, and that's like what friendships do, And
Mhm.
so even though
Mhm.
our friendship might be like how we add to each other's happiness, might just be an escape from your marriage, from
Mhm.
your everyday life, from Chicago, from Jersey,
Mhm.
from work. Like that might be it, to just reground us as just who we are as people. When we have children, that will probably bring us back together closer again. Or,
Mhm.
when I get married, amen. You
Yes.
know,
Yes. Speak
we'll,
it.
Mhm.
yes, we'll have that. We'll have that too. And I think sometimes we just have, I know for me, when my friendships have changed, I've had to really sit down and just really think about, like, because I'm the only person that can, like, make me happy. I'm also the only person
Mhm.
that knows best about what it is I need at the time. And
Mhm.
so for me, it's like, okay, my focus is where, and that's where my focus is. That's where my focus is. And I think the friendships that survive are those that can recognize that and not hold it against you, but be there to
Mhm.
just walk alongside you through that journey. Sarah Jakes Roberts also has a sermon, Redefining,
Mhm.
um, where she does a little clip about friendships. And, she said
Mhm.
that last are the ones that are able to redefine through distance,
Mhm.
through various changes in life.
Mhm.
But some people don't. Some people, once you to be 2012 Christy, to be
Mm-hmm.
2012 Courtney. You know what I mean? People want you to be stuck in that because that's how you fit into them. But you're not going to be 2000. We're not going to be 2012
Right.
1000
Yeah.
Club in 2021. We almost 10, you know, like, like that's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I think redefining is a good term. I also think
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I think what I feel is we're actually in the phase of like establishing an adult friendship, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean that by, I think when we first all met, we were young, we were excited about life, and like, not saying that we're not excited about life now, and not saying that we're not young now.
Yeah.
But I think as you grow, you start to establish your friendships in your adult life, and that
Mm-hmm.
looks different every time you elevate or make changes in your life or whatever. And I think part of it is when you start to redefine who you are, you start to identify like, how does this friendship serve me, or how does this friendship, pour into where I'm at. And sometimes it's just identifying like, we were this then and this is where we are now, and
Mm-hmm.
this is how we serve each other in friendship. And it might not be, even the going out once a year. It might just be like, hey, like, I know this event, like, this is something we're all interested in, we're going to meet up, this time and do this, or we're going to go on a quick vacation to like relax and like not do anything, or we're going to have a deep conversation about something. So it doesn't like, I think sometimes we, in this phase, we're reestablishing our friendships in like a different phase of adult life. And
Mm-hmm.
as you start to like I think we're all in a space too. And Christy, like with getting married, you're redefining who you are as a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important. Like, with me going to therapy, I'm redefining who I am. 30 plus, and like Rashawn is
Mm-hmm.
redefining who she is in her life about things that are important to her. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't always meet in the middle of friendship. Sometimes it's kind of like, all right, we're all here, and we still have that connection that loops us together, that thread that binds us
Mm-hmm.
together, but it may not be as thick as it was before. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's okay too, to say like, we might not be
Right.
as close as we used to be, but we're still connected. And we
Mm-hmm.
can still find ways to bring that thread back through us and connect us together. So I think that's kind of how I look at it where we are. I think we're all just reestablishing our friendship, individually and as a group. And I think that's important.
I think closeness is
Mm-hmm.
relative too. And that's something that I'm learning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I don't like, I guess, because when we try to measure like the closeness or the depth of the connection, we are comparing ourselves to where we were in 2012. 2012
Yeah.
is not 2012 is gone.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
done had 2013. Like, so I don't even think it makes sense to like try to measure it. I think it's just like we're close, and what it means to be close right now is that this is what it means. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know that, like someone to Chrissy said, like she's like her drink, the shenanigans tea, right? Like the 2012 1000 Club is not what I need today in 2021. You
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So like if that was what was being offered right now, we,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I don't, we might not have it with that. I might not be in the 1000, even though I feel like I'm still living my life on 1000. But I just, so when like you said, when you're working on where you are today, you think about what it is that you need and you call those things into your life. And so, what I need right now in terms of friendship are people that support me, people that show up for me, people that celebrate me, people that think about me. And so, that's when I lead in terms of my friendships, you know, and as Christy said, it's like, as your friendships change, and it's not even, and the funny thing is, it's not even your friendships change. It's you change.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you change.
And any relationship, like you're
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
go through
Yeah.
changes. Yeah.
Like you change. And because you change, your relationships change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, so that's kind of how I look at it. I say that to say that that journey of accepting that something is different or someone is different, and so that does impact your friendship, is not always an easy journey,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the peace that you ultimately come to is that we're still friends, we're still close, um, and my close with each of you is different
Mm-hmm.
than even what it was in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's better or worse, it's just these are the things that I have. And yeah, I think that is that. And I would also add, just really quickly, some of the difficulty I know for me is that I put a lot of uh expectations on my friends, which also can, feel like pressure, because I'm not a person that necessarily, or I was not a person that was open to letting new people in and kind of just understanding people as they were. I was very much like, either we all friends or we not, like it's all or nothing with me. Or that's how it was. And so what you have to realize is, one or two people can't be everything for you,
Mm-hmm.
but they can contribute to the things that you need. So if I'm saying I need encouragement, Christy can't be my whole basket of encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
but she can put a drop in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine, because then I'm gonna get a drop from Courtney. I'm gonna get a drop from other friends. And if my basket still isn't full, that means that there's still room to put more drop, to meet new people, to put more drops.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I operate. And then once it's full, then yes, I'm full, and I have full relationships with everyone, even
Mm-hmm.
if one person puts one drop, someone else might put 10 drops. It doesn't matter, because the point is for the basket to be full. For me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, this conversation is good because I think sometimes as you get older, particularly with female friendships, when they start to change, you can get afraid that you are losing a piece of you because you connect. Like there's something that connects you with that person that you feel is so strong that if you're losing that person, you're losing this piece of you. But like you all have said, it's about redefining and reevaluating and restructuring what that friendship looks like to still create space for that friendship and not feel like you were saying, Rashana, with the expectations, not feeling like that person has to be everything that they were to you, but they can be something and still be a part of your life without feeling like, you're losing the entire friendship or you're losing yourself, you're losing, whatever you feel like is binding you to that person. So I think that's important.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it in because I think I'm in a different direction than you all. I like the word of redirection. And I forgot, Courtney, you said another word. I can't remember, but I like
Establishing.
reestablishing. I like that. But I very much am, like I said, I have to take a step back from some of my friendships, and I do have to look back. I have to look back at um my friendships over the years and then the now, because I think I have overlooked, and this is not particularly with you all, and this is not to anyone in general, but I think because, like I said back then, and even now, I'm very much of a person that's like, you cool, you like to have a good time, like we can hang, you know what I'm saying? And I think in doing that, I've overlooked maybe some qualities or overlooked some things in people that over all of these years to at this point that I'm at now have not been most effective. effective for me and not helpful to me. And these are not necessarily things,
Can you give some examples?
I guess
I'm
because,
like interested.
I've I've been in relationships where, um
And you can give an example if it's one of us. If you have an
no,
example
it's
with
not. I
us,
mean, this is just an overall general, it's not pointed to any
no,
particular
that's what I'm saying.
person.
Like if you want to be specific,
But
yeah, like
I've been in like a relationship where um the boyfriend at the time didn't particularly care for a friend or had certain, noted certain things about a friend. Um I've had other people, other friends, or even my mom that may have noticed, like, or said certain things about friends, and I've overlooked it. I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think I've overlooked a lot in certain friendships. And then at present day, I guess distance also causes you to be more reflective, right? And
Mhm.
so I think as I think about certain things that are said, certain situations, how perhaps a friend talks about another friend.
Mhm.
I think it's also had me to look at myself, right? And how I conduct my friendships and how I carry my conversations. But I think all of that causes me to take a step back and, like I said, look at, okay, who am I going to draw closer to in this next phase of life, like where I am right now. Um, and so, yeah, that's the phase that I'm in. Um, like I said, I'm a person who, I don't know if I'm very trusting because I'm very skeptical of people. Even I might act like I'm not, but I'm very skeptical. Um, and um, but I am a person who's like I said, I've gone on trips this year with people I didn't really know. So I'm that person. Like I'm that person that's like, you seem like you're a decent person. I'm gonna hang out with you, right? But
Mhm.
then there's like beyond that and actually having like a meaningful friendship and getting everything that you need. Um, I think that's where it's like, I got to take a step back. I got to change maybe how I establish friendships instead of it's just like, all right, you cool, we can hang out or we can travel. Like, and maybe it's just that. I think we have friends for different
Yeah,
reasons, right?
right.
Yeah, we have friends for different reasons, but I think you also need like your core circle of friends that you can really count on as well. And so yeah, I think for me, that's changed versus back then, where I don't know if I really considered all of these things about my friendships or where I thought I had like 12 close friends. I don't think that so much anymore, right? And so, yeah,
Mm.
that's kind of where that's how it's going now for me. Um,
I
and
think
I'm still, I mean, and listening to you, like I said, it helps me kind of continue to look at things and reevaluate my friendships and my relationships.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you all have helped me out today. So thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I also think like you were saying, I think the big thing that also can like aid in that is just like the distance, like when your friendships, like when there's distance in your friendships in terms of like when we were all together, we were all in one place. And then as you kind of move, like restructuring your friendships to know that traveling is important and phone calls are important and these things are important. And then you start to identify like, is this something I want to do with this person? And
Hmm.
sometimes you might say no, and sometimes you might say maybe this is as far as I want to go, or sometimes you're like absolutely. So I think that's a part of it too. Also because like we are friends in different places, so we talk a lot
Hmm.
about like the importance of staying connected, and that's a big piece of it. Just
Right.
identifying what you're willing to do and what's important to you, and how to keep that friendship connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over here thinking because where you are, Christy, I feel like that is where I was in 2020 and the beginning of
Hmm.
2021. Because ultimately, there are certain times in life where you are very consumed with yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
And all you can really do is focus on yourself.
Mhm.
And, you start to begin to look around and it's like, am I getting this type of support, or I can't focus on you right now, and someone might
Mhm.
feel slighted because that is how your friendship operated. Like you were their person and you listened and whatever. But right now, that type of setup is no longer serving you,
Mhm.
and that like it doesn't. And so, where I am now is I don't even necessarily feel like I need a core group of friends. Like
Mm.
I have just sort of removed that
Mm.
because when I started
Mm.
to really think about my friends, honestly, I just felt very unfulfilled by all of my friendships. Like
Mhm.
there was something that was unfulfilling about every single one. But that when I just like I said, and I took those expectations off, then it's allowed me to enjoy my friendships differently. I enjoy my
Mm.
friendship with Courtney for what it is, which is something that is beautiful, always growing. I enjoy
Mhm.
my friendship with you, Christy, for what it is, which is
Mhm.
something like that is beautiful,
Mhm.
that it is what it is. It will grow because we're growing. I enjoy that I can just send a text message out, and I actually did this for my birthday this year. Normally, for my birthday, I always have all these grand plans, and because my birthday is very important to me. I said that again. I'm gonna say it again here on the podcast. It's very important to me, and I have normally have like a weekend of plans, and I have guest lists, and I'm making all the arrangements and blah blah blah. And so this year, I was like, okay, I'm doing exactly what I want to do, because normally I try to plan where it's like I think about everybody. Who can do what? Who's going to come to what? How am I going to get to see everybody? But that's really not the point of my birthday. So this year I just planned exactly what I wanted to do, and I put it on Facebook. I didn't even text anybody. I just put on
Mhm.
Facebook like, I'm going to South Carolina. These are the types of things I want to do. If you're interested, let me know. And that led to like a very interesting group. Like Courtney was there, but I had another friend, my sorority sister, Mylika, and then I have another friend from college that doesn't live too far away. And we went, and I had a really great time. And because let's say Mylika and Courtney might not, when I was thinking about my core, they weren't in my core, they probably wouldn't have been invited. But I greatly enjoyed spending time with the both of them that I wouldn't have done if I just wasn't open to allowing friendships to be what they are. Mylika and I are not talking every day, hanging out types of friends. But I enjoyed that she was ready and down to go to South Carolina. We had great conversations. Courtney, other Courtney,
Mhm.
it was just really good. So I just have totally removed that. I don't need no core friend group because I'm the core with God is my core. I
Mhm.
think when I get married, that will be an extension of my core. Um,
Mhm.
but that will be it, and everything else outside of that, children, that will be a part of my core because that will come from that cord, right?
Mhm.
But like everything else, I just enjoy it for what it is. I cannot think about what it is. And I say that to say something you mentioned, which is funny about like things you overlook. It
Mhm.
that happens so many times in friendships.
Mhm.
And, and there are things sometimes even there's things about everybody that you're friends with, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, but some things you see, and because it hasn't been directed towards you, you're just
Mhm.
like la 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 la, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
you kind of hope that like because I'm that good of a friend to this person, because I have given them no reason to do this thing or be this way with me, that it will never happen. But the truth of the matter is that really is a part of that person. And eventually it's going to show up, And so even in those situations, what I have chosen to do, I've had to decide, and I think you said, I don't know if you said this on the podcast, but um it's really just about what you can live with and what you can't,
Mhm.
and there are certain things with people that you're like, I can live with this. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to do it again. Even if, you know, they apologize or whatever, it doesn't mean that this is not going to show up again. Chances are it probably will, because this is who this person is. But you have to decide, if this shows up again, can you deal with this? And, can you still really love that person to really love that person? Meaning, I love all of you, even the parts that I really don't like. And so that's
Mm.
also what I have learned with friendships and relationships, is that, you have to love that person. And then you can change how you deal with it. You
Mhm.
can then change, like, how you associate with that person, what you tell that person, what you involve them in, so you can avoid those things from happening again. But one thing I was reminded is that you already knew. But you already knew these things, and so it's just your turn.
Mm.
If
Mm.
that's what it feels like, it's just your turn. Like, sadly, it's just your turn.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and there's sometimes that you cannot. You realize that is something that I can't live with. That's something I don't want to live with. I don't want to be around that. And the reason I say you have to decide to move forward with that person is because you can express that to the person, and the person be like, I'm working on myself, or, I'm not going to do that again. I understand that
Mm.
hurt you, but the truth of the matter is that's just a part of who that person is. And they might
Mm.
be working on themselves. They might not do it maliciously. They might not do it again maliciously, but chances are there might be a slip. That's a hard.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also what I've had to realize. And if your friendship changes, most of the time that person knows that it's changed, because there's something that I just can't deal with.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
Well, we're gonna get ready to wrap up this discussion. This has been really good. I've got a lot from you all. Rashawn, if you can put up the picture of us now. And I'm gonna ask if we could just each give a giveaway um about how we move forward in friendships, not only just in our friendship, but as we continue to be in this adulting phase, and just dealing with all of life's transitions and all that life throws at us, how to maintain our friendships.
How about you start?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say, what I took from today is redefining friendships, and I think I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for the podcast, because I think right now in this phase of my life, this works for me and our connection. Because I have shared, I am working on me, I'm working on my family. And so right now I don't have a whole lot to give my friends, whereas I have given a lot to my friends in the past, where I've a lot of time to give to my friends in the past. And so right now I'm dedicating a lot of my time and effort into me and my family. So um, just thankful for this podcast, and I know we'll continue to redefine our friendship as our lives continue to change. And then I would encourage anybody else who's going through transitions, whether it's a move or marriage or babies or a career or whatever it may be, to continue to put in the work to maintain your friendships, but also do it in a way that you can also um, work on yourself, because you come first. But do whatever the necessary is to maintain those friendships that really mean a lot to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going with um, intentionality and prioritization. And so I think that for any person, you have to, how we move forward is number one, prioritizing ourselves individually. Because that is the only piece that matters. And if you don't invest and sow seed into yourself, then you're not going to be any good to anybody else, any other friendship. And so prioritize yourself. And then being intentional means really thinking about what it is you need, being intentional about communicating that, um, being intentional about just being okay with that, which I think you do when you prioritize. Similarly, like you said, Christy, I really do enjoy this podcast because outside of here, I am working on myself, and one thing that I know would be frustrating to me, which is unnecessary energy, is trying to be more than what we're able to be, which is the podcast right now. That would lead to like constant disappointment, frustration. And like I said, that's energy that I'm really not trying to invite into my space. And so I think that when you are intentional about preserving your friendship at all costs, then you lead with love, and you lead with grace, and you lead with understanding, and you lead with supporting your friends through all phases of their life at the place that they need you to support them at, because we don't get to define that. Only the person, going back to prioritizing, can define how they best need um, support at any time. So that would be my suggestion. And I'm going to remove this photo so we can see Courtney for her answer.
You're on mute.
I know.
I'm mute. Okay. Are
Sorry.
you crying?
No, my eyelashes is like, it's been irritating my eye, and like, anyway. I would say my give takeaway is something Rashana said, like, don't pigeonhole your friendships into being one way, and then allow yourself space to let your friendships be reestablished and redefined, and allow yourself to grow to allow your friendships to grow. And that means, changing friendships or re-establishing friendships or ending friendships or, deepening friendships, whatever that means for you at that time. Allow yourself the space to do that. And don't get stuck on, like Rashana said, the 2012 group is not what we need in 2022. So let that be what it was when it was, and allow your friendships to be what it is right now. So that is my give takeaway. Sorry guys, I'm on my eyes today. It's gross. With that said, we want to thank you all for listening to the 1000 Club podcast again. And as always, you can find us. Our next episode drops on December 2nd. And then as we're recording today, I do want to send a happy Veterans Day out to everyone. Today's Veterans Day that we are recording on. So thank you to all those who have served and who are continuously serving in our military and protecting borders. So happy Veterans Day to everyone. Our next episode... Okay, before we get to that, don't forget we have some announcements. If you haven't got your ticket from Brunch to Launch, it's Saturday, January 8th, 2022. You can get the full brunch, which is very limited, so be mindful. Everybody can't get the full brunch, all right? But if you want the full brunch, it's $105. If you want to do the virtual launcher, it's $75. Both guests get an amazing box of stuff, of launching kits, information, and all of that. So it's an amazing event that I believe if you are looking to to launch, come to the event. You can find the link in our bio at the 1000 Club, or you can go to vocalactionllc.com/invest for tickets. So definitely check that out. Make sure you go and get your tickets for From Brunch to Launch. Our next episode drops December 2nd, 2021. And you can see our episodes every other Thursday. You can listen on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Or if you want to see us, see our facial expressions, see our laughs, see our beautiful faces, because we do put some effort into our face to make sure that we show up for y'all, okay? So watch us, okay? Come see our faces. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. And as always, you can DM us for topics that you would like us to discuss. You can leave comments. You can give us feedback, because we are definitely always open to knowing how we can connect better with you all, our listeners and our viewers. And with that said, this conversation was amazing. I love how we can just be open and honest and get real deep, real world relevant, because that's where we are this season with our friendship and with our listeners. So with that, ladies, 1000 Club,